Hi guys, how are you? It's Angie. I am here to talk to you about cravings and my personal struggles and research I've done and different tips and techniques to really help you conquer those cravings. Those are super important as we go forward because we want you to make these lifelong changes that will affect the rest of your life. We want you to lose weight. We want you to be able to stay with that weight gone. We want you to be able to live a full and functional life, to be able to bend over and tie your shoes without any problems, to be able to pick things up without any problems, to be able to walk upstairs without any problems, to be able to exercise and play with your kids and play with your grandkids. We want all of that. And part of that is not just getting rid of the weight, but finding ways to really get rid of the cravings and to learn why they're so powerful and why they have such a strong hold on us. So let's get started on this. I'm going to share my screen with you and we will start talking about it. So super excited to talk a little bit about this because this is one of my struggles. I definitely have struggled with cravings my whole life. And my first memory of cravings was when I was real little. I used to go to my grandma's house. She's a good Swedish woman, and she used to make these amazing Swedish pancakes, big and thin, and they covered the whole plate. So she would cook them and we'd all be sitting around the table and she'd come with the pan and boom, flop them on our plate. This puff of steam would come out and they smelled amazing. And we would cover them with peanut butter and syrup and just roll them up and we would eat them like that. And oh, they were so good. But I really feel like that's probably one of the reasons I grew to love Reese's so much, because of the peanut butter and the sweet mix in there. And probably one of my earliest memories of craving something. And I know all of us have different memories of different things that actually trigger those cravings. So that's one of them. So I want you to think about it. What are some of your earliest memories of craving? So let's look at this thing. Let's look at this a little bit and see what cravings are all about. So cravings, are they biological issues or are they an emotional issue? What I really want to tell you is they are both. It is a combination of both things. So the science behind cravings has to do with the reward center in your brain. So as we eat certain foods, the neurons in that center, the reward center, become more active. They release positive chemicals that give us positive feelings, pleasure, and then that in turn makes us continue to seek out that food. And usually the foods that do this most often are the highly hyper palatable foods, sweet, salty, rich. Okay, so chips or chocolate or coffee, any of that stuff can release these good chemicals in our brain and really cause these cravings. Some of the chemicals and the hormones that play a role in cravings include insulin and cortisol, dopamine, leptin, which is a hormone that tells us when we're full, and ghrelin, which is a hormone that tells us when we're hungry. And so insulin resistance and having that fight or flight or that stress response to light or be under a lot of stress can release more cortisol, decrease levels of dopamine, which is your feel-good hormone. All of these have something to do with cravings. So normally when we eat, the eating process actually releases what's called a glucagon-like peptide and leptin, which then helps you to feel full and tells your brain to stop eating. If not, if you don't eat, there's a hormone ghrelin that signals hunger. So when we actually start to eat some of these hyper palatable foods, so these sweet, salty, rich foods, it actually interferes with these brain processes, and then we continue to want more food even though we have enough food in us. So this is a biological thing that is causing chemicals and hormones and all these things to be released to make us feel good. And now when it's an emotional thing, because now we want to feel good. So there have been some animal studies that show that diets high in fat or sugar, which is a very, very, very typical American diet, especially the artificially sweetened foods, so diet, drinks, and anything with artificial sweeteners actually release those hormones that reduce stress and then make you desire these comforting foods more. So those things that we thought we were doing good for us by drinking that diet pop, not so good. It actually makes the cravings worse. Dopamine, which is the feel-good hormone chemical in our brain that is released, does release these positive emotions, and we seek out this food repetitively over and over and over again. And this is where this addictive food behavior or emotional overeating comes into place, because We feel good when we eat, all right? There are lots of similarities between actually eating food and drug addiction. So if we go further, we can look and see that both of them activate the same pathways, triggering dopamine and the reward learning centers of the brain. They can both lead to a need to use increasing amounts over time. So you become resistant to this. So what was like a tiny piece of chocolate did it for you, now you need 2 tiny pieces of chocolate. Or what was a small amount of coffee, now you need 2 cups of coffee. So as we continue down this process, we need more and more and more to feel good. It's a very addictive process. Both of these are associated with difficulty in quitting because of that hyperactivity response in that brain, that reward center of your brain, when we eat that food or drink that drink. So it takes more and more over time to actually get that same response. Sounds very, very familiar, doesn't it? There are a couple of things to look at that actually affect these cravings. So high intakes of sugar disrupt the normal process of we eat, we're full, we're good. We don't crave anymore. We were meant to crave only when we were hungry. We were meant to only need food when we actually needed fuel. That is not the case anymore. We have actually disrupted that with high amounts of sugar in our diet. So different things that affect cravings. Think about this, the food industry. Look at all the commercials out there with this amazing look at food. All these shows that talk about cooking or that talk about making the best dessert or that talk about all of this stuff. That the food industry has a huge thing. There is a channel all about food, right? Stress, problems with sleep. Sleep can cause imbalances in the hunger, ghrelin hormone and the leptin hormone that tells you you're full. Hormonal fluctuations, medications, all of this can affect food. All of this can affect how we feel about food. All of this can affect how we see food. As women, the higher estrogen we have in our body, the more we feel full. So that is why at menopause or perimenopausal, we tend to gain weight because we don't feel as full. We lose that estrogen levels. Different medications specifically that are known to cause weight is antidepressants, antipsychotics, steroids. Why? The antidepressants and antipsychotics deal with those feel-good hormones in your brain to kind of throw those off. Steroids are that cortisol level, release that so you want more food. So those are all things that affect us. There are so many different things that affect hunger and cravings. So let's talk about different tips to success. So first of all, I want you to practice mindfulness. This is the first step. What are you eating? Before you put it in your mouth, pay attention. Stop, look at it, and evaluate your body. Is it something you're eating because you're hungry? Is it something you're eating because you have an emotional connection to this thing? It brings back a good memory, like my grandma and the pancakes. Is it something that you have associated with good times with your kids? Like how many of us take our kids out for ice cream and then we have that good memory? Now it's a positive feedback loop, right? And we're instilling that in our kids too. Now that we take them out for ice cream, now every time they have ice cream, they have this feel good loop about being with their family. Is there something that you're needing in your diet? Are you hungry? Are you actually hungry? Are you bored? Are you stressed out? What is it? Take a moment, be mindful before you actually put it into your mouth. I struggle with this so much because as a mom, one, and as a nurse, I am running and I have to just throw food in my mouth because I feel like I need the fuel, which in reality I don't, because at one point in my life I was well over 300 pounds. So I obviously didn't need as much fuel as I was putting in my body. But we are trained that, put it in, put it in, put it in, put it in. So other things we can do, exercise. So it's actually been shown that short bursts of more intense exercise can actually increase the leptin, so that hormone that makes you feel like you're full, and decrease the hunger, ghrelin hormone in your body. So regular walking doesn't do it as much, but when you have short bouts of this intense workout, jumping jacks, going up and down the stairs, whatever it may be, do these short bursts of intense workout, it will make you not hungry. Avoid ultra processed foods, okay? So avoid the foods that cause the problems, the sugar foods, the fat foods, the salty foods. Avoid the fake artificial sweeteners. Avoid that stuff, and avoid your exposure to food shows, commercials, social media posts. If you follow a bunch of recipe groups in Facebook, get off of them. Stop looking at them. Join some ones for exercise. Join some that are funny. Do something different. Avoid food that is associated with an event or environment. So if you're someone like me and you always need something sweet before bed, change it. Stop it. Avoid that food. Maybe change whatever you do before bed. If you were coming to bed and sitting and watching your favorite show and it was your habit to have a bowl of ice cream with that every single time, change it. Listen to a podcast, go for a walk, take a bath, something different so you're not sitting in that same spot doing that exact same thing, missing your bowl of ice cream, right? Maybe listen to a podcast, maybe put yourself, maybe instead of sitting in the bed, watching your favorite show, maybe if you really want to watch it in the living room, something like that. You want to introduce new habits. Do you know that walking out in nature in the sun causes actual releases of dopamine, so that feel-good hormone in your body? Get outside. Hard to do in Northern Illinois. Get outside, enjoy that fresh air, get that in your body, and that can help you feel better, decrease your hunger, and actually release some of those feel-good hormones. Laughing does the exact same thing. So again, getting out of those Facebook groups that have all those recipes, even if they're diabetic recipes or they're low sugar or whatever it may be, get off of those. Take them away. You don't need to be looking at food all day long. Get into some groups that have post jokes or comedians or that may thing. Laugh more. Exercise, we talked about that. Do some intentional, more higher intensity exercise. Journal. Instead of eating a bowl of ice cream at night, sit there and take a few minutes and actually journal what you're thankful for. What was good about today? What scale changes are you seeing? What non-scale changes are you seeing? Were you able to button your pants without laying on the bed? Listen, I've been there so many times, I can't even tell you. Are you able to bend over and tie your shoe without putting it up on your other leg and having it tied to the side? Were you able to pick up your granddaughter without having to sit down? What are some non-scale great victories that you can be thankful for today? Did someone do something kind for you? Make some different habits. Another thing to think about with journaling is to actually journal what you ate or what you didn't eat. Did you say no to something that you would have said yes to normally? That is amazing, and that should be celebrated. And if you need someone to celebrate with you, call me. I will, because it is 1,000 small steps that will take you that mile, that 2 miles, those 3 miles, and will take you down a road. You have no idea how amazing it will be for you, how amazing you will feel. The years you are going to add to your life by saying no, amazing. Add music into your life. Music, dance, something like that. That can be a new habit you can throw in there. Studies show that if you can avoid the craving for 5 to 7 minutes, you will much more likely be successful. 5 to 7 minutes. It's all you got to do to distract yourself when you feel a craving. Turn around, walk out that door. 5 to 7 minutes. You guys can do this. I believe in you. I believe in you with all my heart. The only way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing this. These cravings will get better. You have to fight them. You have to avoid the triggers. You have to put new habits into place, and you have to stop the old habits. So I am so proud of you for being here. I'm super excited to walk this journey with you. Let's do this, because it's my journey too, and we will be successful if we do it together, holding each other up. All right, guys, have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I'm super excited to walk with you.